end of 2019, me and my husband had taken a career break and travelled to Asia for a few months, including Bali, to soak up sea, sand and sunsets. Then, in Malaysia, specifically Kuala Lumpur, we had a magical time eating to our heart's content. We spent Christmas Day swimming in the pool and celebrated the beginning of 2020 on the rooftop of our Airbnb condo. Like many people around the world, we told ourselves that 2020 would be different. Then, coronavirus ripped through the planet. Since returning to the UK as the pandemic was announced, we collectively experienced 3 job changes, 4 home moves, and sadly, a family crisis. In the last 2.5 years, I had personally thrown myself into work as work from home became the norm and the ultimate distraction from the worries in life and health. We adapted to a changing world and appreciated the smaller things in life. But eventually, this all took its toll on me, and I increasingly felt empty. Then something happened. Spring made me look at my life with fresh eyes and a fresh perspective. I watched things come back to life, and the cool freshness in the air kind of awakened all of my senses. We decided to clear out the apartment, sell or give away all of our things, and just make one of our dreams come true. My husband transferred his work abroad, and as for me, I decided to take a year out, to jump off the roller coaster of the corporate life and pull out of the rat race. I decided that I would stand still for a while, and that from this point onwards, I will be committed to a year of rest. We took one last look around at life as we knew it, and then set off to start a new chapter in our lives. I absolutely love airports. I love that I am actually between 2 places, leaving and arriving. I'm somewhere in the middle where all the excitement and anticipation is. It's when all the stress of packing ends and I'm tickled with this sense of adventure and my mind just begins to ease. I think there's so much joy when we anticipate something, you know? That excitement you have when you're looking forward to something and you kind of imagine how things will be and feel, and you catch yourself daydreaming and smiling at this imagined future you, basking in the sun and walking barefoot on different shades of sand. I love to be reminded that life is meant to be lived.
We're here.
Even though we had not slept very well, and after a 13-hour flight and overnight sit-in at Heathrow Airport, I just wanted to soak up my very first Singapore sunrise. It's always been interesting to me, we're in a world where so many beauty standards are pushed onto us, that we can all mutually agree that watching the sunrise or sunset is undeniably beautiful. We spent the first few weeks in Balestier. We didn't know anything about the area except that it was the place to go for anything related to home lighting. Compared to our first ever visit to Singapore back in 2017, this was a part of Singapore that was unfamiliar to us. We felt like we had stepped off a time-travelling plane because so much of the area felt untouched by modern hands. There were family-run stores that had stood for generations and Lego brick-like residential buildings. The open stores perfumed the air with durian, and the area generally felt unspoilt by too many tourists. And there was a sense of community life with the little Balestier Road Market that was always busy with locals from morning to night.
Thank you so much.
We found a home away from home at NCT Cafe. The staff here are such lovely and warm people. It was wonderful to escape the blare of traffic and do some reading and writing with some tea.
Sugar?
This cafe is also where we had kaya toast for the first time. Kaya toast is an all-day breakfast made up of toast with butter and kaya and is usually served with soft-boiled eggs.
Crack it now. And then voila.
Oh, that'll do. That'll do. And a little bit of pepper. I love pepper. You have to try some now.
Wow.
It's good, right?
Delicious. Delicious. I've never had egg this soft boiled.
Yeah, we normally have hard-boiled eggs. You're gonna love the toast. Right?
The toast is really soft, but inside is really sweet.
Oh god, it's so good.
Why is it when we are at our lowest that our body and mind suddenly needs to be in nature? What remedy comes from hearing the rustling of leaves, the buzzing of cicadas, or even the lapping of lake and sea over our feet? I have always been intrigued by how we human beings seek Mother Nature when we might feel lost, stressed, or unhappy. It's when we suddenly have this urge to drop everything in our lives, walk barefoot into a dense forest and melt into the emerald green. I had read somewhere that the beauty we find on earth are reminders of what will exist in a heaven after we leave this world. I am not a particularly religious person, but this has always stayed with me. I like to believe that nature is there to remind me that there is a wonderful eternal home waiting for me. Off the beaten track of Balestier Road, there are quaint shophouses that date back to the 1800s and where many are still lived in today. They're called shophouses because they served two purposes. The ground floor was used as a shop by merchants and the upper floors were the family home. Some shophouses have a shabby chic aesthetic with little front gardens, but many seem to be modernized, yet maintaining their original outer designs and architecture. It's this preservation of the art and heritage of Singapore that really warms me. I think it's a beautiful thing to honor our own history and identity, especially when facing continuous change that can often overwhelm or overshadow us. Our identity is ever more important in terms of our human needs because we can sometimes lose ourselves in the rat race of career and the corporate life. Another type of home in Singapore that I'm falling more and more in love with are HDBs. The board behind these have been designing and creating homes for all Singaporeans since the 1960s, and they aren't just for somewhere to live. How life is lived by Singaporeans is planned into them, the living, the working, and the resting. I love to hear over and over the story of how HDBs first emerged. It's like a fairy tale, but actually based on a true story when the then Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew helped Singapore overcome its uncertain post-colonial state and turn the country into a self-governing nation. And today, it's very clear that Singapore is a huge success. Every time I go past a HDB building now, I think of the Malay word I have recently learnt, Merdeka. It means independence or freedom. It's a word that resonates with me right now because becoming rested means becoming free. Home. It's a word that stirs up many feelings in me. I was born in Bangladesh and flew to the UK with my mom when I was 2 years old, when my dad was already waiting for us. That makes me, in the textbooks, a second-generation British Bangladeshi. As a third culture child, I have always felt like I have never belonged in just one place, and I am truly grateful for that. Even as a child, throughout my 20s, and even now in my 30s, I have always felt like I belonged nowhere and everywhere. I know there are borders and boundaries, sometimes even great big walls and partitions, but my nomadic soul transcends those lines. My feet were meant to walk over various lands. If I could, I would walk on water too. If you were to ask me what earthly element best describes me, I would tell you water. My whole life has felt like water flowing from one place on earth to another, sweeping across the globe, searching for the mouth of the sea to settle in. I have spent a lot of time studying at university, throwing myself into what I believed was my life's work, and then eventually changed careers. Like water, obstacles and challenges have changed my course in life. One thing is for sure, we can change direction at any time. Not everything is meant to last forever, and if we don't have forever in a career, a job, a relationship, it doesn't mean we have failed at any of those things. Rather, we just keep moving. We grow and swell into the new spaces we have occupied until we begin again and flow through the holes and cracks. When I travel, I learn so much about a place. One thing I love about Singapore is how well it has faced the toughest times, and it's created a beautiful place and home for the millions who live here. I don't know for how long I'll be here, but I hope it will be for a long time. This tiny city-state, a significant dot on the world map, feels like water. It is constantly moving, rebuilding and changing to make way for a future full of hope and endless possibilities.